All right, let's go to our tough calls here. Tua at the Jets. No, home against the Jets. And he's been better at home this year for sure. If Tyreek Hill doesn't play, Heath, is this even a tough call or is he just a sit?
If Tyreek Hill doesn't play, then he's a sit for me. I'm ranking it. I don't know how Dave and Jamie are viewing this, but I'm ranking it as if Tyreek is going to play, but not quite be Tyreek, which puts Tua just outside of my top 12 quarterbacks. If we got a full practice in from Tyreek and everybody said he's fine, then I'd probably have Tua just inside of my top 12 quarterbacks. But it's kind of a messy situation because they played this team a month ago or less than and put up more than 30 points. The offense did great. Tyreek was great. Waddle was great. And Tua had 9 fantasy points. And the Jets have been fantastic against quarterbacks this season. The way I started my quarterback preview was the number 14 quarterback in points per game is facing the defense that allows the 3rd fewest quarterback points to quarterbacks. It seems like an easy call. You sit that guy.
Since he's become the full-time guy for the Dolphins and taking away the Brian Flores in and out scenario that he dealt with, his last 3 games against the Jets, he's got 5 touchdowns, 6 turnovers, 1 game over 250 passing yards. The high was 273. So he just doesn't do well against this team to begin with. So Robert Saleh has his number. And so you're looking at a beat-up offensive line, a defense that's playing great. They're all of a sudden rejuvenated, feeling like they may have a shot to make the playoffs, which seems ridiculous, but they're still mathematically alive in terms of the Jets. And the Dolphins are reeling a little bit right now. So I don't think it's a slam dunk that you're starting to. Like, if it sucks that he probably got you here, last week's game notwithstanding, but, for the most part, he's been one of the best fantasy quarterbacks this season. And now you may have to bench him. Now, the question is like, do you bench him for Jake Browning or Joe Flacco or any of these guys? Like, I wouldn't do that. But if you have clearly Purdy or Fields or any of these other guys that are
Stafford,
Stafford, right.
Yeah, easy one. And I will say this: if Geno Smith plays, I play Geno Smith over him too. Any of those guys, I think, are in a better spot than Tua this week.
And I'll go Browning over him if Tyreek's out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tyreek's out is a different story.
For what it's worth, Tyreek looked like Tyreek in the 4th quarter. I mean, you saw the game. You saw those big plays that he had.
Not necessarily because he was on the sidelines. Was not something that you see. Like their last drive, he wasn't on the field for the start of the drive. Like he's. I don't think he was able to cut as much as he would. Straight line speed was not an issue for him. It was the cut.
That's fair.
That was the thing.
Straight line speed is good enough. Not that I'm making the case for Tua, but
he was completely a decoy.
All right. Well, let's go on to Jared Goff. Jared Goff against Denver, who now is 8 games in a row, 9 games in a row with 9 games in a row. No quarterback has scored points. Yeah, those quarterback has scored 20 points in 9 straight games. That includes Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes twice, Josh Dobbs when he was red hot, CJ Stroud, and Justin Herbert. Yes, he left early. Justin Herbert threw 17 passes for 96 yards and scored 1 fantasy point against the Broncos. I mean, how could I even make the case to start Jared Goff at this point?
Yeah, no.
Can't do it. And his offensive line's in bad shape as well. And this Broncos secondary has been playing great. The pass rush has been good. I know Nick Bonito's down. We'll see what that does to them, but I still think they're going to be able to get after Goff. And this is a matchup tailor-made for the Lions' run game. Because the one thing that the Denver Broncos have not been able to fix all year is their run defense. So I could very easily see them say, you know what? Let's get back to basics. We still have our starting tackles. One of our guards is playing pretty well. Let's just lean on them. Let's lean on Gibbs and Montgomery. They started running the ball well a little too late in the game against Chicago. If they had turned to the run a little bit sooner, I think that they would have had a shot to compete in that game. And I think that's what they're going to do against Denver.
I mean, the only thing that makes it difficult is that Jared Goff, you see this 19 fantasy points per game. He has been a massively different quarterback indoors versus outdoors, like 9 fantasy points per game different. It has the few road games he's had that are in domes, he's even been okay. So yeah, I think Goff's right there in the Tua conversation right now.
All right. What about Mahomes? Is Mahomes ahead of these guys? He's at New England. He really hasn't had a big game. And week 12, he scored about 25 points. That was pretty good at Las Vegas. New England is 6th best against quarterbacks. And here's kind of a weird angle. Mahomes is averaging the 2nd most yak per completion, yards after the catch per completion, well behind number 1, Brock Purdy. The 49ers lead that category basically every year. But Mahomes is a very low ADOT guy with a lot of yards after catch. The Patriots give up the third fewest yards after catch per reception. So they're very good at eliminating that. And I went back, I kind of looked like, is there a correlation? Does he do well against teams that struggle in that? And that kind of is, actually. His best games have, for the most part, come against teams that struggle in that area. But also, like, he's just not getting it done for fantasy purposes here. So is Patrick Mahomes a tough call for you this week?
Less of a tough call than Tua and Goff. I don't think Goff's that tough of a call. I'm sitting him. But my first question is this: when it comes to Mahomes, if the touchdown had counted last week, would we even be having this conversation? He would have had 22.6 fantasy points.
He wouldn't have gotten that touchdown.
Nope.
Yeah, he would have.
No, it doesn't.
He doesn't get credit for the touchdown?
No.
I talked to more people about it. They said he would have.
Oh.
No, it's a run by Tony. He gets the completion to Kelsey.
Right.
And then the lateral goes to Tony, and Tony gets a rushing touchdown.
Okay. So if I'm mistaken, then he still would have been a bad game. If he had thrown the ball to Kelsey and Kelsey had run in for a touchdown, obviously. But the question is, even if he had scored 22.6, I think there would still be some trepidation about whether or not Mahomes has the sky high upside. And this is a tough matchup. You know, I know that the Steelers made the Patriots defense look amazing last week, but I still think the Patriots defense is just good overall. I've got the FOMO with Mahomes. I'm going to rank him as a top 10 quarterback.
Oh, he's still top 10, but I mean, look, Purdy's easy at this point. You're starting him over Mahomes. I'm starting Stafford over him this week. That's no question for me. I would start Fields over him this week, just with the upside of what Fields has brought and should continue to bring, even a tough matchup against the Browns, who've given up some big games with quarterbacks the last 2 weeks. And then it comes down to, if Christian Watson plays, I might go with Jordan Love over Mahomes. And I'm almost there with Trevor Lawrence as well.
Oh, wow.
They're all in that group. I've got Mahomes, Fields, Lawrence, 7, 8, 9 in my rankings. And that was just the initial look.
Why was 6 afraid of 7, Dave?
Why?
7, 8, 9.
Because 7 heard your humor.
You never heard that joke?
Of course.
What?
You've heard that.
How could they be afraid of anything?
Okay. Heath, unless you have anything else to say about Mahomes, we'll move on.
No, I've got him 6, so it's right in that same range.
All right, 6 to 8 for everyone here for Patrick Mahomes. Must not be a great quarterback week, I guess.
Well, that's where he's 7 for the year, so we're pretty much just ranking him where he's been for the year.
He's 8th per game.
Yes, because of Joe Flacco's passed him with his 2 games.
Oh, right? Did I not eliminate Flacco? All right, then he might be 7th per game.